see and hear me all right. I am live here on YouTube, but I'm about to go live on Whatnot and actually start fielding questions, as well as go through a list of questions and topic, like just general talking points that I've received over the last few weeks. Popular questions, things that get asked a lot. Just going to be a general Q&A. So I am going to be fielding questions live, as I said, but also just going through my list of topics here. So welcome in. Happy Thursday. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Let's go ahead and jump on into it. I'm going to go ahead and start my show on Whatnot. I've actually never been live in this category before, the community category. So I'm kind of excited and kind of nervous. I almost feel like a new seller where I'm just like, what is this category going to be like? Typically, it's a lot of people doing seller support type of shows, as well as just general community shows, which is kind of like maybe people aren't selling anything. They just kind of want to hang out and build a community. So they see a lot of people doing arts and crafts and just kind of hanging out. So that's kind of the category that we're going to be in. I do have some items listed in the buy it now section of my Whatnot show. So we might make some sales, we may not, but that is going to be kind of the setup. If you're curious what a setup looks like, by the way, I'll just show you guys right here. If you can if I can flip you around at all. This is a pretty simple setup. Do you see how I just have my phone on a tripod right there? So I am just going live right from my little phone on a tripod, and that's all you need. That's one of the biggest questions I get right off the bat is, what do I need to go live? And that is it. A phone and a tripod. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to go ahead and go live here on YouTube, and let's get it rocking. I'm going to pull up the show on my computer. Alrighty, start show, go live, and perfect. There we are. Hello, everyone on the Whatnot world. We have already started streaming on YouTube on the other phone. So welcome in either platform that you guys are watching on. Let's see if I can get a good... I will say on Whatnot, if you guys are like, what's wrong with your camera? It's because I'm not using my normal camera. Normally I have my other phone that I'm streaming on YouTube on. So this is my old Galaxy S8, if you guys even can remember that far back in phones. So this camera quality is not probably the greatest, but hopefully it works for you. Welcome in, everyone. This is actually my first time ever streaming here in the community category on Whatnot. So hi. Oh, let me turn that down. Hi for the first time. Perfect. So I am on YouTube and I am on Whatnot because I'm going to be taking questions live from Whatnot and reiterating them, just chatting and chilling. It's one of my favorite things to do is chatting and chilling. I literally say that all the time in my shows. But I've never been in the community category. So we're going to chat and chill. I have been selling on Whatnot for, I'm actually about to celebrate my 3-year anniversary. I'll be having gone live for the very first time 3 years ago in 2 days. So my anniversary is April 12th, and I think today's the 10th, right? So April 12th, and gosh, I can see my camera quality on the computer and it's terrible. So hopefully it isn't too bad. But hi everyone, welcome in. So we are going, I know it's blurry. I apologize. Normally my camera does not look like this at all. Let me actually see if I can flip it around and if it looks a little bit better for you guys. Let's try it this way. If I switch and use my back camera, does that look any better for you guys? Is that a little less blurry? I feel like it looks a little bit better. Much better? Okay, perfect. So it's not the Wi-Fi. It is an old phone. I have a newer phone that I use for streaming, but I'm dual streaming today, so that is why. But if you guys are new here, welcome in. We are going to be going through some questions. So as you guys have them, pop them in the chat, and I will be more than happy to answer them. I am going to be I'm sorry, like I said, normally in my selling shows, it's not a problem. So just bear with me today if you guys don't mind. But I do have some topics here. If you guys want to drop questions in the chat, drop them in the chat. I'm going to be looking back and forth here on Whatnot as well as on YouTube. And if you guys are here on YouTube, welcome in. If I am looking this way or that way, it's just because I've got, thanks TT, I appreciate it. From the island of Guam, I love that. I have a buyer from Guam every now and again, and I always love that. So I'm going to go ahead and start reading questions out loud so that you guys can catch them on YouTube. Again, if you are able to hang out for all of the live, great. If not, and you need to watch it on a replay, remember that my lives on YouTube, everyone's lives on YouTube, they're not under their normal videos. You've got to actually click on the live tab. So if you pop out and then you come back and we're gone, make sure you're toggled over when you're looking at my profile to lives and it'll be under there. So East Coast Elements asked a question, as someone who hasn't ran a show yet, do you recommend preloading items or weights or doing random pulls, which is one of my favorite questions because this is what I do. This is my favorite method of selling, and it's actually on my list of things I wanted to talk about, which is I'm seeing so many more sellers actually sell in the way that I've sold for a very long time. And I love seeing it because I think it saves us so much time as sellers, which is if you have kind of like one general category of items that you're going to be selling, even if it's like garage sale pulls, like I'm doing books or toys, things like that. If you're doing clothing, those are all pretty standard items. But even if you're doing generic pulls, like out of a storage unit or something like that, I think one of the fastest and easiest ways to sell the most amount of stuff is to list items by weight. I really do think that's the best way to do it. So basically what I mean by that is you will go into your profile, you'll go into your show that you're going to be selling in, and you'll list an item in your auction tab with a quantity. So instead of listing a single item and taking a picture and saying green cup for sale weighs, 1.5 pounds, and you list it and people can buy that. Instead, what you can do is you can say, hey guys, I'm showing this cup. It's green. It's awesome. And you can sell it right here live on the camera and then run in your auction 1 to 2 pound item, run it as an auction as a single item, sell this item, label it 1 to 2, number 1, right? Then you go to run. I've got my Coke can here. Your next item. Okay, guys, we've got a Coke can here. Well, this doesn't weigh 1 to 2 pounds. So maybe you go into your profile and you have a selection for, I don't know, 7 ounces is what it weighs. So you go into your profile for 4 to 7 ounces. You run this item and same thing. You label it 4 to 7, item 1 or item 12 or item 200, however many items you're selling. You just put in a quantity listing. And I think that's truly one of the best ways to do it. I find it to be the most effective, honestly, and I'm seeing so many more people do it. So I highly, highly recommend that. I do have a video about how I have my profile set up by weight. So if you guys want to check that out, go into my profile, you'll see some old videos, but it is basically 1 to 3 ounces, 4 to 7 ounces, 8 to 11 ounces, 12 to 15 ounces, and then by pounds. 1 to 2 pounds, 2 to 3 pounds, 3 to 4 pounds, so on and so forth. And I just think that's the best way when you're doing volume. If you're doing like 20 items, just list all 20 items. Just do it. Just list them because you're going to get better traction on them. If you're doing volume, I would do it by weight and I would do quantity listings. Hi, Veros. Hello, everyone. All right, Kay says, ideas for sourcing popular books other than thrift stores, Facebook Marketplace, etc. as someone who is very rural. Okay, so I'm working on maybe some ways to source books with shipping. It's something that I don't do now because shipping is just so expensive when it's going by weight and you're trying to buy like a lot of books, like maybe a bundle of books. I see people all the time that are just far enough away from me on Facebook that I can't quite drive to them. And I just think about it and I'm like, oh, that's probably like 20 pounds of books. That's going to be, $15 to $20 worth of shipping. And it just doesn't cut it for me. So I feel your pain on that. And I get it from I'm the complete opposite of rural. I am literally in the best sourcing area. I live in an area that has a huge military presence. We have a giant shipyard. We have the naval bases, and we just have a ton of access to a lot of things. So I would say one of the things I'm trying to do is just calculate with shipping how much it breaks down to be each item. So if you're looking for books in particular, how much is it going to be per book, and is that going to still be a good cost of goods for you to actually make a profit on? I'm not going to lie, what I'm tending to find is no, but I also know that I'm not searching that hard because I have Facebook Marketplace, I have Goodwills, I don't need to rely on it. I think that it's something that if I am able to find out some more information or I find something that works for me, I will definitely share it with you guys on YouTube. If you're not following me on YouTube, make sure you are. It's the same screen name. That's what we're doing here. We're dual streaming here today. I would say the best thing that you could do right now to start getting inventory, Kay, is going to be free book pickups. That's the first step, I think, for rural, because you probably know a lot of people who live roughly around you. If you live rural, you probably either, maybe you don't know anyone, or you kind of know a good chunk of people who live around you. And I think word would spread. Maybe make a couple flyers and post them in places where flyers are allowed in your area. I know, in like your churches, the daycares, the schools, if you have a Panera or coffee shop, something like that, where you can post flyers and things like that, would probably be your best place to start, because then you're getting the raw, unfiltered, immediate donations right into your hands. And you can also offer to buy books too, if that's not working. People are like, I don't really want to give up my books. That's, some people don't want to give up their books. You could say, I do also, purchase books or whatever the items are. So I would say for right now, I would probably get into free pickups if you can, or just really sourcing. Oh, here's another tip for you, Kay. With my eBay sourcing that I've been doing, it's like the keywords are so crazy. Like there's so many different things you can type in eBay to get like a listing to pop up, right? Oh, let me put up a giveaway. I totally forgot I put some giveaways in for you guys. I have looked up, simple words like just fantasy, popular, book talk, bookstagram, popular authors, just anything. And I noticed that people do a really terrible job at listing book bundles on eBay, personally, in my opinion. So I don't know. It's just playing around with keywords would be my next other tip that I have for you. I understand your frustration, even though it's not a reality for me. I could only imagine if I didn't live where I live. I don't know if I would do what I do, at least not on the scale that I do. It would just be no way it would be possible. Hey, Texan, I feel like it's been a minute. Sourcing books, question mark. Mine is drying up and spends too much of my time. I totally understand that. Also, I saw there was a question over here. I will get to you guys as well. Don't think I forgot about you. Yeah, I feel you though, Texan. It is one of the things you guys are asking all the questions I have on my list, which is that keeping in mind not just your cost of goods, but the amount of time that it's taking you to do your sourcing, to do your prepping, and to do your shows. And then, of course, your back end, like shipping and customer service. But yeah, I'm trying to work my way up the ladder of things. Oh, I did something today, actually. I went to the Salvation Army. So our Salvation Army took out all of its bookshelves. It has bookshelves like mine, like floor to ceiling, all around this giant room. And they took them all out and replaced it with like liquidation items, like just overstock items. It's like terrible. And they have two little shelves with books in it. And for a while they weren't taking books. And then they slowly, I guess, started taking books, and they started putting them on the shelves. And I went in today and I grabbed two books, and the manager was at the register and there was no one in line. So I was like, this is a perfect opportunity. And I just said, hey, I know you guys weren't really taking books like in the last few months, but I see they're kind of back now. What's your deal with books? Like, do you need a book buyer? What's going on? He's like, we actually have a book buyer. He said that he does Gaylords for this buyer who just comes and picks up Gaylords, 17 cents a pound, which is, to me, seems crazy cheap. So I was like, okay, I was just asking because like I do books primarily and I'd be interested in buying in bulk too. He was like, oh, okay. So he actually took my information down. So, who knows if I'll ever get a call, but that is the key, Texan, is going upstream. Like these Goodwills, you cannot rely on them at all. All right, so question from YouTube over here. I saw Brenda said, can you move items that don't sell in your auction to the buy it now? And you definitely can. I know that there's a way to do it just manually, which I do from time to time. When I have manual listings in specialty shows, I'll have a bunch of like auction listings. And then at the end of that auction, if I'm just like, I'm just going to move them over to my buy it now, I'll just kind of manually go in and do it. There's probably a way on your computer to do it in bulk. In fact, I was playing around with some inventory stuff on the back end a couple days ago, and I noticed there was a lot of buttons in there that I've never come across. I've never played with. So yes, you can do it on your own manually, but there's probably a way to do it on the back end too in bulk. I just am not 100% sure how to walk you through it. But if you go to your dashboard and you click on the inventory tab, it pulls up all your current inventory, and there's a lot of stuff in there that you can do. So I think you can bulk transfer it from auction to buy it now. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So library sales too, says someone from YouTube as well. So library sales is another way. I don't know if you probably only have like one or two big, enough libraries in your area. They have a Friends of the Library or book sales. That's another great way. Booksalefinder.com is a big one that I use for all my local book sales. Booksalefinder.com. You can do it for all states. It's great. So Kim says, how do you handle your inventory? I have so much not entered yet, and I am so overwhelmed with books. Okay, so it's funny you say that, Kim, because I have a couple friends in the book category that have listing like an actual inventory system, and I don't. I don't have an inventory system. I genuinely keep everything on my shelves via memory. I'm never just taking books from my like sourcing, like say I have these books down here that I've sourced, right, that I haven't shown yet, and so I have these books. I'm never just taking these and putting them on the shelves like in stacks. I'm going one at a time through them in my shows, and I'm showing them on camera. And if they don't sell, then everything at the end of that show will then go onto my shelves. Sometimes it'll go over to the buy now section, but that means I've actually looked at all those books. So I have a pretty good idea of what books I just took from the show that didn't sell and actually put on my shelf. So if somebody said, can I have The Storyteller? I may not know off the top of my head that that's a Jodi Picoult book that's right there. But if I go and I think, okay, The Storyteller, what kind of book is The Storyteller? Well, it could be a kid's book, but it could be an adult book. And I just kind of look in those sections and go, oh, Storyteller. Yep, absolutely. Or somebody says it and I know immediately, like it's an obscure book or a popular book. If someone said Girl on the Train, I'm not going to go, is that in my board book section? I know that that's an adult thriller book. And so I'm going to look in my adult thriller section. So I really would say it's up to you. Keeping an inventory system is great. My shout outs to Allison Shane Reeds. If anyone watches Allison, she has a full blown like Excel like spreadsheet where she tracks all of her inventory. So if you come into her show at any given time and say, hey, do you have this book? She can just type it in and it'll pop up if she has it, which is great. I personally can't do that. It's just not going to work for me. So I do, did the give you draw? I do, Texan, congrats, Texan. I'm going to send you some stickers and bookmarks, maybe like a little book or something. I don't know exactly what I have for giveaway books right now, but I will definitely send you something fun. Thank you so much for hanging in your questions, of course. So I think that it's just up to you. Okay, I wonder if Tay's in here. Tay, do you happen to be in the chat by chance? Tay, I feel like went through a phase of inventorying everything. I don't know if she finished inventorying everything. Let me scroll up. Is she in here? She may not be in here. I don't know if she keeps inventorying everything as it comes in, but I just imagine it's daunting. So I don't know. Maybe if Tay pops in the chat, I can ask her. I'm going to tag her. Let's see. Tay. Let's see if she pops in. I'll ask her if she still inventories every single book, because I just feel like that's so time consuming. So for me, it's memory, if I'm being honest. And then with memory, paired with memory, is just using organization on your shelves. And I highly recommend getting shelves. I say this all the time. If you're doing books in particular, shelves, if you're doing anything, you need a storage system. You can't just have like big clear totes and throwing everything in. You need like some level of like shelving or cubicle type system. Just, I feel like you need something to kind of keep everything generally organized. But yeah, Kim, I don't know. That's such a good question. And I'm kind of really, really curious. I hope Tay pops in so that maybe she can answer that for us. I'm just curious if she kept up with it, Brenda said, I've only had 2 book auctions and only sold 1 book. I'm selling hardbook books from a family estate, a lot of National Geographic, Time, sports, history, nonfiction. Just wondering if these sell. So they aren't typically things that I sell. If you're talking about like Nat Geo and Time magazines in particular, I've never had any luck selling those. I don't think that means they don't sell. Like, I know somebody who has a National Geographic like collection. So, you're selling Nat Geo and they're looking for a specific one. They may want it. Sports history, maybe is that the same sports history nonfiction or sports as well as history, nonfiction. History and nonfiction do sell. I get a lot of requests for like Civil War era books, like not from the Civil War, but like books about the Civil War. That's a big request. Lots of World War II requests lately as well. Historical stuff with like advertising or like ephemera type things. That's always really, really fun. There are a lot of collectible things I think that do really, really well, but I don't know. Oh, the hardback ones. Interesting. Okay, so personally, I feel like I've never found value in those online. Why do I feel like my makeup is just terribly blended today? I feel like I look rosy. I've never found value in those personally. So I don't know. In my personal opinion, I would pass on them. Brenda, feel free to send me a picture. I'd be curious to see what they look like if you want to. The hardback Nat Geo, I've never found value in. The time, there's so many of them. And like, maybe if you have the full collection, selling to a larger audience of people like on the Bay would do well. I think on Whatnot, probably not as much. But nonfiction, history stuff, that does well. I will say you want to find the fine line of, are you individually listing or are you just showing the items one at a time? I'm curious about that, because you don't want to waste your time individually listing all those, but then you also don't want people to pop in and be like, wait, what's for sale? So I guess my next question would be, how are you showcasing the items? Are you like stacking everything up so people can kind of see spines? Do you have pictures of things? Are you listing individually? You are listing individually. Okay, so cool. So I think that gives you the better opportunity for people to make a purchase, because you are showing the item that, you know, they can do search word, they can put keywords in, they can type, they can see, you know, does she have blah, 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 whatever they're looking for, and they can type in a keyword into your auction. Or they can browse and see pictures and maybe see something that they didn't even know they wanted, but once they saw it, they're like, I have to have that. So I think you're on the right track with the listing. The only other tips I could give you, just without knowing any other context besides what you're selling, is that just seeing like when you're going live. Maybe if you play around with your time slots, I don't know if you went live the same two times when you went live, maybe try a different time of the day or a different day of the week. Sometimes just finding a pocket of time when there's not really anyone else selling, but is a desirable time to be on, which is usually sometime after like 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning. Most of the times is like a pretty decent time. So like mid-afternoon, maybe you find a pocket and you're like, oh, no one's on. There's like one seller on and they're selling books completely different than me. Maybe just do a pop-up. Try going on and seeing like, and bring your A game, try your hardest. And if they're not selling there, you might want to look at other platforms, and then you may want to look into either just donating them or selling them locally. Sometimes I've had success with that before. Those types of books in my local area, highly desired. So if I took a picture of like a bunch of stuff like that and just listed it on Facebook or Craigslist and was like, hey, this is what it is, and kind of list a couple topics and put it at a really fair, reasonable cost, I think someone will come take them off your hands. So kind of keep that in mind. Estate sale books are so hit or miss. They're either amazing or they are so niche because they were that person's interest, and that may not be everyone else's interest. So just keep that in mind, Brenda. Hey, Amani. So Isco says, do you list on other platforms? If so, do you deactivate those listings while running in case the chance something sells on another platform while running? So great question. I do not cross list at all. I never cross list. I do all one platform. It is all Whatnot in the Bay, but the Bay gets like maybe 10 listings worth of inventory a month. And that's if they even get listed. I just went on a big listing spree on Whatnot, and I did a little bit on the Bay. And I think I listed, what did I list? Tuesday, I listed 6 items on the Bay, and Wednesday, I listed 3 items on the Bay. Today, I've done none, but on Whatnot, in the last 3 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, and today, I've done 58 listings. So quite different. So I would say, I definitely am solely on Whatnot. I'm 99% of more 100% of my income comes from Whatnot. And then like I get an occasional like, oh, you just sold something good. Like I did some good sales on the Bay. I did $63 on Friday and I did $95 on Tuesday and $40 today. So in the last week, I've made almost $200 from the Bay, but that's because I went on a listing spree. If you do not list over there, I swear you do not get sales. It is the worst. So I don't list over there too often. So no, but no cross listing for me. If it's listed on one site, it's not listed on the other. They are totally separate listings. Always. Always, always. You do Pango book sales. Okay, perfect. So like you actually source from Pango to resell. That's amazing. That's good that you're finding some good like margins there. Yes, booksalefinder.com is great. You're going to get all the local sales, the church sales, the library sales, friends of the library, obscure sales that only happen once a year. You really want to check out Book Sale Finder for sure. Stop. Kim, how have you been? Wait, you've been using ChatGPT to organize the book sales or your books? Your books. Okay. But you want people in your shows to see what you have. Okay. For one, I need you to tell me how you're using ChatGPT to do that because I'm just genuinely curious. I just pinned up another giveaway for you guys if you want to get entered into that. You've been using ChatGPT to organize them. That's brilliant. I wonder how that's working for you. So yeah, I would say if you've ever seen the way I do the listings in my show, I have all of my shelves pictured. So for example, these shelves back here, I would have like chapter books listed. So I'd have girl themed chapter books and my boy themed chapter books because I actually have it divided. These are more of my boy themed chapter books. And then these are, where are they? Over here, my girl themed. I have a tiny little girl themed section. But then I have picture books. So I have picture bookshelves, board bookshelves. And then my adult books, I do not separate in category because I don't have that many on the shelf. They tend to sell in the show. So I do have all of my adult books together. But if you have a lot, maybe you do have a thriller shelf, a romance shelf, historical fiction, nonfiction, things like that. But I have, I don't know, probably like 20 listings, 15 or 20 listings in my auctions at all times. And it's just listings for my shelves. That's how people can view it. And that took a little while to set up. I can imagine it probably seems a little daunting. And if you're curious how you do that, you're just making a listing. You're just making a listing like you would in any show where you'd go in and you would click the plus button and you would say, you know, add listing. And, you would just put in a picture. So I put in the picture of like the items that are on the shelf. And then I do the title, you know, adult shelves. The description, I just put a period. I don't make it anything. And then I put a quantity of one and I list the what's it called? The price at $1. And I do the weight at just a low weight because it doesn't matter. You're never running that. Okay. You're never going to be running that listing. It's just for people to see. So, yes, there is that. And that's how you do it. You just create a listing. Super simple. Texan says, how do you record sales / profit? I've kept receipts, but I'm not sure of exact book profits. So, for one, great question. I'm going to move you guys just a little bit closer here. I feel like I'm really pop myself up a little bit. I do keep all of my book receipts. So I do have a stack of receipts. It's so funny you asked me that because I have been my cat scratched me. I've been in the process of trying to figure out how I want to not how I want to, but trying to keep track of how many books I'm selling. So because I do bundles, if I go to Whatnot, it'll tell me it'll be like you sold 50 things in your show tonight. But in reality, I sold 320 things. And so I don't have a way to just look back and go, okay, I sold 300 things, because it says 50. It says however many listings I sold. But I could sell one listing and that counts as one item, but it has 20 books in it, right? So I've been trying to keep track of it, and I did it for the first 2 shows in April, and then I forgot to do it for the 3rd show, and then I was like, I don't think I'm going to do this, and I threw it away. I threw the paper away. So that's my experience with keeping track of it. But in all honesty, I would say I don't have books that I purchase without a receipt almost ever. So when I'm actually about to file my taxes, I probably should start on that tonight. I need to get that going. It doesn't take me that long, but when I go to file my taxes, I will have a big stack of receipts from all the books that I purchased over the course of the last year. And I will sit down and I will manually add up every single month of books that I purchase, of totals that I purchased. So I have a total for January, February, March, so on and so forth. And then I just add everything up, and that's everything I spent on just my inventory. But, for example, I got a free book pickup today. And it was probably a good 50 or so books that I will be able to sell. And I got them for free. So, I can't say that was a cost of good. That was free inventory. So I don't keep track of my cost of goods that manually throughout the sales. I would say if I did a smaller level, 100% you could. If you were selling just a handful of items every show, or your sales are, under, $50 to $100 in any given show, it would probably be fairly easy for you to take some time every show and go, okay, I spent, $2 on that item. I spent $5 on that item. Those 2 things I got, for free or whatever. And you can sit there and do your math manually and then write it down and just keep track of that. Okay. I spent $15 on everything I sold tonight, and I made, $62. Okay. Well, you do the math, look at your payout, see what your fees are, of course, and that's going to be your profit minus any other general expenses. If you do want to be super diligent and take into account your shipping supplies, like how much does it roughly cost to ship any given package that you ship? But we're talking about pennies to dollars. It doesn't really usually affect your overall cost too much. But if you want to be very specific, keep in mind your shipping supplies, of course. And that's how I would do it. So I guess it's harder for me because I don't want to sit there and count every single book. And I'm counting by the number. So I go, okay, I sold 300 items. And then I have to go back and count and go, okay, this was this. And sometimes I know I paid up for something. So I guess that's just annoying. I don't know. I guess I cut corners like that. You guys are asking me like good accountability questions, which I love. And in my brain, I'm just like, I just don't do that. Like, it just seems like it takes too much extra time. And so I just kind of try to, just do it and repeat it. And I don't really care too much about the logistics of it. But yes, on a lower scale, I think you could do it. You don't need anything fancy. You don't need like a book. You don't need you can do whatever. If you want pen and paper, you can use your notes app. So I use my notes app, but I do track one thing that I do. And it's my little whiteboard over there, which is my listings. I have such a love-hate relationship with listing that I have to track it, because if I don't track it and have a tangible number to look back on, like just that, where I was like, oh, I've made almost $200 this month already on the other platform. I said I make 100% of my income on Whatnot, but clearly I don't. Clearly I make a little bit of money elsewhere, but I wouldn't know that really unless it was written down. So at the end of the month, I can go, okay, I listed, 200 things and I brought in this much money because I listed those. That is the one thing I care about, is the amount of time it takes for me to sit down and have a headache to sit here and list all of these things and do my least favorite thing in the world. I want to see the payoff. I want to know the number. I want to know, how much I sold and how many items I sold compared to what I listed. So I think that's the only thing I super duper track specifically every day. I don't, Kim. Kim said, do you ever use the CSV uploading? So Whatnot does have an option to do like, you can import listings and things like that. And I've never done anything like that. Again, I don't cross list at all. So I've never really felt a need to. And I don't list a whole lot in general anyway on Whatnot. My listings are buy it now listings. So when you hear me say listing, I'm not listing in my auction. I'm listing in the buy it now. And I actually think I saw, was it a give you win or yes? Amani, congrats. Again, I'm going to send out some stickers, bookmarks, maybe a little book or something. If I know who you are, maybe I can send you something that I think you'll enjoy. If you are watching on YouTube and you want to get in a giveaway, come on over to Whatnot for a minute and get into the giveaway. Alrighty. So Snell says list where, and if you're saying, I'm not sure, I was a little behind in the chat when you asked that, but it's I list on the Bay, which is the popular one we don't say the name of because I'm on YouTube. I'm on Whatnot over here too. I list on the Bay and I list on Whatnot, but it's just in the buy it now. So Cauldron said, what is your best advice for shipping supplies, mainly boxes? Okay, I feel like such an anomaly on these questions. I'm sorry if I want to be relatable. I almost feel like I'm not relatable today. I do a lot of recycled boxes. I'm a huge fan of, like, that's my business model, is all like recycling books and getting them back into the hands of readers. So I also love to do that with my shipping supplies. I use a ton of recycled packing paper and I use a ton of recycled boxes. However, I will say recycled boxes are not reliable. Just like the Goodwill, recycled boxes are not reliable. And I have actually been dabbling in buying boxes, which has been a game changer. And so I had a hard time finding, my mom actually recommended the local place where I'm getting them at now. But I was like, how can I tell other people how to do this? And so I had gone on Google and I was trying to type in like different words, like how I would locally search for a business that sells shipping supplies. So I went on and I was like typing in like, shipping supplies near me, packing supplies. The place I go to, it's such like a little family business. You can tell they're just a small little family business type of thing. I typed in like, just local family. I was using those types of keywords, just trying to get something to pop up. And I was struggling to get that business that I go to pop up. So I wish I could give you like a really good keyword to type in, but it is just a local kind of like office supply company. Maybe that would be a good keyword. I didn't even think about that. Office supplies, like local office supplies, but not Office Max, that kind of stuff. But they sell shipping equipment, they sell bubble wrap, they sell like disinfecting sprays and, all kinds of stuff for other local businesses too. So they're just a small company and I love them. I've been able to get a lot of my boxes that I use really regularly for close to like 40 to 60 cents each. And that's been really, really exciting because I can take on a cost of 63 cents per box for some of those orders. That's not a problem at all. But I do get a lot of my boxes from recycling, and my best recycling places are definitely Barnes and Noble. Obviously, I sell books. Where else would be a really good place to get boxes? So Barnes and Noble for me is the best. Another one that I really, really love that has boxes that the Barnes and Noble doesn't typically have is my local, there's like it's like a GNC, like a nutrition store. It's not GNC, but it's like that. It's like a local nutrition corner. So type in nutrition store and maybe hit up a couple of their dumpsters. They tend to have the best boxes. And what they get is they get a lot of, shipments of, protein powders and things. So they're these really uniform sized items that fit into these beautiful boxes and they're not damaged. They don't have food in them. They're just like powders and supplements and things like that. So local nutrition stores, Barnes and Noble, those have been like my lucky places for sure. Hey, Mickey, how are you? No worries. Welcome in. This is my first time in the community tab. I've never done a show in the community tab before, but I'm live streaming on YouTube this week because I just wanted to switch it up. I haven't done a live in a while. And so I just was like, let's do this. This is different. This is fun. So we're live streaming on YouTube and then we are of course, on Whatnot, but it's so good to see you. Kim says, I take a picture of them in stacks and Creek X main genres and tell ChatGPT to put them in the correct categories. That's brilliant. Isn't it crazy how ChatGPT has changed the world? Oh my gosh. Yeah, to show each shelf. Yeah, for sure. So that's what I do. It's like probably like 15 listings. So it's literally like, I have series books, chapter books, nonfiction, picture, young adult, vintage, cookbooks, Stephen King, anything that's like its own category, something I have a lot of or something I like to highlight, I just make a category for it. I have holiday books during the holiday time, so I'll put pictures of my holiday books, graphic novels. So, yep, take a picture of each shelf. That's great. But that's so fun. I love that you are using ChatGPT for that. Yeah, Mickey says mileage as well. Like you got to keep in track keep track of how much money you're spending on gas. I going across the water to Virginia Beach multiple times a week, that adds up on my gas bill. Like I'm definitely spending a lot more money on gas. I don't mind the mileage as much just because it's like it's a car, like you're going to drive it, and if it's the cost of doing business, I write all that stuff off. I actually wrote my entire car off last year because I purchased it in 2023, and it was amazing. I was so happy. It brought my tax bill down to like next to nothing, but I don't have that luxury this year. So I definitely keep track of at least the gas cost. I don't really keep track of my exact mileage. I just kind of know what I have from the beginning of the year to the end, and just like that's how much I don't need to know every day how much I drove. And then I just divide it up. I know that I spend easily 90% of the things I do in my car are work related. Like I very rarely am driving in my car for just pure pleasure. It is a small percentage. So I can just take that mileage and go, all right, what's, 80 to 90% of that? And that's my mileage I probably spent on driving. But then I deduct all my gas for sure. I keep every single gas receipt for sure. You're getting Chinese. That sounds delicious. So East Coast says, so how much percent do you keep / save for taxes? So for most of last year, or a good chunk of last year, I was actually using the Profit First system, which I highly recommend. I should make a whole video on that. And I stopped using it since because my finances were just not like the numbers weren't working for me. I still have yet to figure out how to fully separate my business and personal finance. It is like my biggest downfall as a reseller. I've been doing reselling for about 5 years now. I started back in 2020. And I just can't separate them. It's terrible. I'm so bad at it because my money is my money. And it's like I said, I spend 90% of the time in my car doing work stuff. So it's all goes to whatever. Long story short, with Profit First, I was only doing 2% of my income was being put to the side, which is not obviously enough, but it was because I was just like starting with it, and I was like starting to like learn how to put all my money into these buckets basically, which it'll be the system I use for life. I love it. Highly recommend it. Profit First by Mike Michalowicz is the book. I definitely suggest you read it. I think you should listen to it on audiobook. It's the best. It's so good. Highly recommend the system, but I need to be closer to a minimum of 15 to 20%. And ideally, I would love to just put 30% to the side and just always have an overflow of taxes so that give or take any given year, I just kind of have money in that account. So ideally, if I had a choice, I would be at a minimum of 15 to 20%, but I know my tax rate's close to 28%. So I would prefer to be closer to 25 or 30 if I had like my dream world. But taxes and me are not friends. I've never had a good relationship with taxes. I go through periods of times where I'm up on them and then I'm down on them, and I'm up on them and I'm down on them, and then I've got money saved for it and then I wipe out that account. It's just like I don't like taxes. I am not the only one. It is one of the banes of my existence. There's this really funny clip from, oh my God, what is it from? I can't remember, but the guy's like, oh, you got to pay your taxes. And the other guy's kind of like a rebel. And he says something like, I tried doing it once, didn't really have a taste for it, never did it again. And it's like, that's me. If I could just never pay my taxes and get away with it, I super would. But I'm a business, and so I can't do that. So 15 to 20% minimum, I think you guys should be putting to the side. If you can. If you can, I understand, things happen, but if I could go back and start my business 5 years ago, knowing what I know now, I would never have an issue with taxes. It would just be every year like, here's your money, IRS, because I've saved it appropriately. But when you're younger, you don't always know better. Ball, thank you so much. And it says, Amanda, your YouTube videos have convinced me to set a date for my first Whatnot show. Whoop, 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 whoop. It's going to be next Wednesday evening at 7:15. All right, everyone click on Ball's profile. Let's go
View profile. Let me bookmark your show. Husband wife team who find all kinds of great things, books, media, toys, vintage. That sounds like my kind of people. I love that. And then we pass these great items to others at awesome prices. All right, I am bookmarked. I will try my best to be there. I always get notified when I bookmark a show, so I'll try to pop in for sure. But that's exciting. Congrats. I'm so excited for you. I always say get those first couple shows out of the way. Get your first, I always like to say five shows out of the way. You're going to learn so much. I think Mickey can attest to that. I told Mickey that. I said, Mickey, you have to do like 5 shows. She was like, okay, I've got it. And now she kills it. She loves it. She's in jewelry and some other stuff as well. I use spreadsheet that I duplicated for other online selling. Love it. Save this for taxes. Yeah, I like that. So I'm a spreadsheet girly. I really love a good Excel spreadsheet, but it's like journaling. It's so challenging to really get yourself every day or every couple days to sit down and make sure you're filling out that spreadsheet. And so I fail in that category, unfortunately. I do. All right, I'm getting caught up here, guys. Kim says, do you recommend bubble wrap or the corrugated wrap to use with the poly mailers? Okay, I think you could use either. I also think if you don't mind and you just want to kind of cut corners all around and put out a little bit more money on your supplies and save on your time, you could use bubble mailers. Like instead of bubble wrap with a poly bag, you could just use a bubble mailer. I was watching Mel's video today, Mel from Back from Burnout, and I always get so angry when I watch her ship because it's like the Australian Post, they have these bubble mailers. That's like their priority mail. And she just can put the books in there and just ship them out in a bubble mailer. And she said she's never had issues with it. So, sometimes I think about that, like one day grabbing a bunch of bubble mailers and just sending out like a shipment or two in bubble mailers and just seeing how it works. But I think either works really well. Now what's the word? I'm partial to the corrugated cardboard because of the environmental thing. If I can do anything to save the environment, I'm going to. And I would prefer to use either recycled bubble wrap, or I would just prefer to use paper or the corrugated cardboard just for the world, for saving the planet. So that's why I don't use bubble mailers or bubble wrap really at all in my business, except when I did Disney pins, or if I'm selling you something that's like breakable, which is very rare. I sold a mug as a giveaway and didn't sell it. I gave it as a giveaway a few shows ago. So really either I do if you guys don't know what corrugated cardboard is, I'm not going to grab it, but it's like a big roll of cardboard that has like a wave on one side, excuse me. So when you fold it on your books, it creates like this really firm, hard barrier where you can't bend it. So you can take a flat, like a floppy book, and you can put it in the corrugated cardboard and it won't bend. If you put it in bubble wrap, it'll bend. So I use the corrugated cardboard personally. I am here if you want to put, I can do that another day, Tammy. I'm not selling anything in today's show. I have my buy it now stuff, but you can pop in tomorrow or Saturday. Honey says, I don't know if it exists outside of NYC, but there's a Free Cycle network, and it's just a website where people post free stuff. So yes, it's called Free Cycle. That's what there's an app, I think it's called Free Cycle. There's also Craigslist free. Facebook has free stuff all the time. And like Next Door Neighbor. Yeah, so you can definitely do that. You can get into that little circle for sure. That's a good idea, Monty. Yes, including packaging stuff. I had a military family moving to the area, and they had hired the professional movers, and they packed all of their stuff with that packing paper. Like a lot of the packing paper I buy, because I buy it's called newsprint, by the way. It's not necessarily called packing paper, it's called newsprint. And so I buy that, and then I get this brown paper for free from some of the bins, which is great. It's also from Barnes & Noble. Barnes & Noble is where I get most of my packing supplies. It's really good. But she had taken it all, and she unpacked everything and had laid it all flat and just folded it. So it came just like fresh newsprint. And she was like, it's free. You just got to come get it. So I come and get it. And I filled up my car. I had a car back then. I filled up my car to the brim with this newsprint that she had neatly folded. And I couldn't get it all. She goes, well, I still have some boxes to unpack, so I'll have more for you. I said, okay, but you don't have to like fold it like that. She's like, oh no, it's so therapeutic. She's like, I'm loving it. And I'm like, okay. So she folded it all up and I got this free, like 2 carloads of packing paper. So packing supplies too. Yes, exactly. Great tip, Amani. Here's another giveaway for you guys. Again, if you're watching on YouTube and you want to come hang out in the Whatnot chat and get in the giveaway, get over here on Whatnot, Resell Maven. If you guys haven't downloaded Whatnot yet, also link in the description. Please come join us. I know, Mickey, I see you in here sometimes. I see you in shows. I don't come into the community tab like ever, except for when a few sellers who I really like are on. And I see you in the chat sometimes. And I'm like, oh, that's so funny. Hey, Grant, welcome in. For those of you guys that are new here, welcome in. My name's Amanda. Also, I don't typically go live in the community tab. You know what? I have gone live in community before. I did a Ship With Me show. Was that in community? It may have been in books. But I have done a Ship With Me show. Regardless, if you guys are liking this show, let me know. I can definitely do shows like this in the future here on Whatnot without even streaming on YouTube. But if you are here on Whatnot for the first time, I typically sell books on Tuesdays and Saturdays. Those are my big 2 streaming days of the week. And then every Friday, I also do random shows as well. So welcome in. So Lucy said, how about pricing on books? That's kind of confusing. I'm not sure how to price, which is a really good question. I have gotten this one a lot. That's a great question. So, okay. Here's what I'll say. So you have 2 schools of thought on this one. Your first school of thought is me. I like to offer things, anything I sell, whether it's toys, plush, books, knickknacks, Disney pins. I feel like I offer stuff just at a really, really low price. I'm like a volume discount store where you're going to get a really good quality item, but it's going to be severely discounted to where you would find it anywhere else. So I'm kind of like TJ Maxx, I guess I would say, which is great. You know, that's a really good way to sell. But I also think that people who price their books more competitively, when I say competitively, I mean accurately, like to what the market is, for their benefit, for them to get a better profit, that works really well for them too. And I do shows like that sometimes where I will sell books that I know that I can make usually 7 or 8 minimum starting bids on, but in a normal show, I might only sell it for $5 or $6. Why do I do that? I don't know. It's just my thing. So I would say those are the 2 schools of thought. It's volume, discount, just trying to move a ton of books at once. And you don't really care that you're not getting the top dollar. You're going for the volume game. So I'll bring in the Bay as an example. When you're listing on the Bay, you can see that there are, you know, maybe it's 100% sell through. There's 50 items sold and there's 50 items listed. Okay. Well, you're probably going to sell your item when you list it. You could sell it at the top end. If the top end price is going for $30 and there's like, you know, 20 other sellers that are between $25 and $30 in their listings, you could meet those 30 other sellers and be one of them and put your listing in at $28.99. And you may sell it within that day. It may be the next week. It may be later, but it just really depends. Luck of the draw, right? Are they drawn to your profile for some reason? Do you have the best rating? Do you have the best review? Whatever it is. But if you list it at, you know, $22.99, it's probably going to sell that day or the next day right away, but you didn't make as much as the person who could have also sold it the same day. So I just kind of look at it that way. Is it a quick volume game, or do you want top dollar and you don't mind holding on to the stuff? So that would be how it goes, just right off the base. Then from there, I would say when I started, I had no idea how valuable books were. When I started, I was doing a lot of bundling on Facebook Marketplace. I would sell large lots of books that I had bundled. Maybe it was the same series or similar types of books for like next to nothing. It was like a steal and a half, but that was my step into reselling. That was me like getting my foot in the door. And I realized, oh, there's money in books. Like there's money out there to be made. So I went with it and grew, started, getting more and more types of books until I outgrew my space. And then I would say, when did I, 21, 22, 23, 24, 22. So it was 2022. So I had about a year of selling primarily on Facebook in the Bay to learn how much books cost. How much were people willing to pay? And so I think the biggest lesson was taking a lot of books or a single book, whatever it was I was selling. Alyssa, congrats. Alyssa, I'm going to send you some bookmarks, some stickers, maybe a little book or so. I don't really know exactly what I have over here, but I'll send you a little something. Thanks for hanging. I also have stuff listed in the Buy It Now. So if you've unlocked discounted shipping or you just want to shop while I'm chatting, you can also go to the Buy It Now. I do have stuff listed in there if anyone's interested, but no pressure. Just want to let you guys know. But I had about a year of listing items at prices that didn't sell, lowering the prices, then finding the price that it sells at, listing items too slow and getting a ton of messages and selling the item fast and realizing, ooh, I don't know. I guess I didn't know what I had. And then a lot of comping, just a ton of comping. When I say comping, I was doing a lot of research. So for one, I would go to the Bay. Can't really do a whole lot of comping on Whatnot. I'd go to the Bay and I would type in just different keywords. I would type in sets. I was big into sets. So I would type in things like Babysitter's Club, Nancy Drew, Boxcar Children, the things I collected. And I would just sort in the sold comps from highest to lowest. I wanted to see what was the top of the top. Okay, if I'm picking up a Babysitter's Club book or a ton of Babysitter's Club books, what's the top of the top? What's the most that people are getting out of these? Okay, so they're selling full sets for about this much. Half sets are going for this much. Mixed sets are going for about that much. Oh, wait, what's this one single book? Why is this one single book going for $30? Okay, well, if I come across that one single book, I know, don't just sell it. It's worth something on its own, right? And then I would do book lot. That would be a big one I searched a lot. I would type in book lot, go to the sold comps, same thing, go from highest to lowest, because I just wanted to see what was the top, where was the ceiling, right? And then in that, you just see so many other things. Another good one is typing in like certain keywords of books that you pick up a lot or things that are just really popular. So like Disney is a good one. Disney book is like so obscure, right? You're going to have 28,000 active listings, right? Go to your solds, go to top to bottom and just scroll. So doing a lot of research, trial and error. I hate saying that as a learning lesson. I know it's hard to hear, but it is, like I said, I had a year of learning before I got on Whatnot. I started on Whatnot not selling books. I had this set up. I got on Whatnot and was like, I'm going to sell garage sale items and I'm going to sell Disney. And it was great. I loved it. But then I found out there was a book category. So I went over to books and I don't even know how my first book shows went. I don't remember them. But I think right off of the bat, I never listed books. I don't remember. If anyone was ever here for my very first few book shows, let me know in the chat. I think I always just showed what I had. I think that was always the method of just like, okay, I've got this book. This is what it's about. Like, does anybody want it? I think that's kind of how I did it, if I remember correctly. But trial and error. So I definitely sold stuff on Whatnot for cheaper than I should have and didn't know. If I ever pick something up when I'm sourcing and I just go, this feels valuable. Like something about this doesn't feel normal. If you don't see this all the time, or this looks like a popular series or something like, especially young adult and adult like fantasy romance type of stuff. If I come across something like that, before I just sell it on Whatnot for $8, $9, $10, which I think is a great price and oftentimes about the price that those types of books go for, I might just look it up and go, what is this? Let me get some more details about it. Can I sell it better by knowing about it? Or is this something that's hard to find? Is this a popular book that I have that somebody else is going to want and would pay $30 for somewhere else, right? So it's just kind of trial and error and just getting a little comfortable with learning the books. Just like anything you sell, like if you were a car salesman, you need to know about the cars that are on your lot. If you are a pool salesman, you need to be able to talk about the different types of pools. You need to be able to give people specifications and information about the items that they're interested in buying. So I think that's just something to keep in mind, that if you're going to be selling anything, you kind of got to become like a fan of it. And so just being passionate about like learning about the items you're selling and stuff like that. Oh wait, the chat cut off on my computer. So if I missed anything, the last thing I can see on my screen is Amani talking to Cauldron Queen. And then it says, wait, what's the name again? Profit First Method. Okay, yeah. So if you commented before that, I apologize. It got cut off and I didn't see it. But yeah, Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. DeCammy says, show tonight, a lot of vintage and patriotic. Can we drop shows? Yeah, you can. I don't mind in a community tab. I highly encourage it. In my regular shows, I don't love it as much just because I'm like trying to do stuff and I don't love promoting sellers who I've never heard of. But in the community tab, drop your shows. If you guys want to talk about what you're selling or what you sell, or things that you're passionate about, drop it in. I love, like, this is one of my favorite things about Whatnot is I always say, like, I spend most of my social time is Whatnot interacting and now YouTube too. So I love it. I just I don't always like when I'm in a regular like selling show for people to do it because I don't want to stop what I'm doing to like investigate who you are so I can also promote you. So I usually just ignore any sort of self-promotion in my regular shows, but in community, yeah, let me know what you guys got going on. Shameless plug, co-hosting a community show tonight for non-OG sellers who struggled. Don't block me. Instant block. I love that. Let me bookmark that. I don't follow. If you ever look at my profile, you guys will notice I only follow like 30 people, and it's because they're like OG people from back in the day, or people who I specifically really like to watch their shows. And the way I get notified with y'all's shows is I bookmark them. So if I bookmark your show, it's at 10 o'clock. Mickey, you think I'm awake at 10 o'clock? Not happening. It's still bookmarked. I might be awake at 10 o'clock. Okay, let's see. Oops, close out of that. So Takemi says, I'm horrible at spreadsheets, LOL. Keep all receipts and I will tip my sister-in-law to do. I love that. I love that. Speaking of taxes, also another person I do recommend. I've never used her before, but I always love watching her stuff around tax time. In fact, I'm surprised I haven't seen her. She might be doing shows. Maybe I haven't seen. Courtney, the bookkeeper, I think is her name. I'm pretty sure I'm following her in my page. So again, of the 30 people I'm following, I think she's one of them. She does bookkeeping and she's specifically able to do bookkeeping with people and Whatnot. So if you're looking for someone professional, Courtney the bookkeeper, you guys can click on my profile, go to who I'm following, and she should be in there. But I think her name is Courtney the bookkeeper. She's great. Corrugated is steady. Yes, it is. It's so much better than cardboard. I love the corrugated stuff. Kim says, do you just jump into the dumpster or do you ask them first? I'm never asked. I've never asked for permission. I try my best to not get caught. So there's two that are near me that I can use. There's one that is in my actual city. And for my whole business up until about a year and a half ago, their dumpsters were open and available and they were great. They were, I mean, not even 10 minutes down the road. It was perfect. And because it's in the middle of the city, they get a lot of through traffic on foot and people like throw away like their boba and their smoothies and like diapers and trash. Like they throw stuff in there as they're just passing through. It's kind of annoying. So they started locking their dumpsters. So they don't want anyone in their dumpsters. And so they lock there so I can't go there anymore. So the one I go to is like 45 minutes away. And they saw me one time and I was just like, hi. And I just kind of like scurried. so they've never said anything, but I've definitely never asked for permission. With something like that, I would rather ask for forgiveness than ask for permission, just because it's harmless. I'm literally taking your boxes that are going to go to a landfill, and I'm actually recycling them. I'm actually putting them back into rotation. And quite frankly, I don't mean to get loud, but it's free advertising. Am I wrong? Let me see what my battery's at. I know that I don't have this phone plugged in. Oh, it's only at 54%. That's not too bad. I'm doing free advertising because the boxes that I'm sending out all say Barnes and Noble on them. So you're welcome, Barnes and Noble. But yeah, I do just jump in. The nutrition store, it's tall. So the Barnes and Noble ones are like halves. So you can like open up the door and just like reach in. You can like crawl your body in basically. But the other ones, they're like tall. They come up to like here. So you have to like jump in. And I do it. I have a video, like one of my first shipping videos way back. It's probably like one of the first 5 or 6 videos on my YouTube. There's footage of me jumping in and out of the bins or in and out of the dumpster. And thank you guys for the shares. I appreciate it. If you have any Disney books, I'd appreciate it. I do sometimes. I don't have a whole lot at the moment. I'm not selling any books today, but I will be on tomorrow. I also won't be selling requests tomorrow. I have a specialty show tomorrow, but Saturday. I always recommend popping into my Saturday shows. Those are the most fluid. You can get all the things. Everything's available. So pop into my Saturday show, Alyssa. And for the giveaway. That's what you're asking. Let me write that down so I don't forget. Alyssa, thanks for the request. That makes it easy. I can see what I can find for you. Something Disney. I don't know if I have anything Disney that's little enough, but I got you. I put that down. I love a request. Thank you. Sorry, I thought you were talking about buying, and I was like, I'm not selling anything really right now. So the Pinterest aunties, hi. I do, Pinterest aunties said, what website do you use to do your research? And if you're talking about what I was just talking about earlier, I'm really behind in my chat. So if you guys are commenting, I'm like just going in order. eBay. It's eBay. I always just call it the Bay. We call it the Bay here on Whatnot because, you know, Whatnot doesn't want to compete and hear us talking about and promoting other sites, but Whatnot doesn't have an integrated, necessarily interactive way to search sold. You could always go into someone's show, and I highly recommend that. I do it all the time. It's how I comp directly on Whatnot. You can always go into someone's show and toggle over in their store to the sold side, and you can actually see everything that's sold. Now, you know, as we were talking about, sometimes people say, you know, single item, 4 to 7 ounces, number 3. You don't know what that was that sold for $10. So it's kind of like, you don't always know, but a lot of people list their items individually. And so you can see, you know, polo shirt, blue and white striped, sold for $12. And you can see the visual. Okay, that polo shirt sold for this. And, you know, so you could do some research that way, but eBay. Type in keywords, toggle over to the filters. You can look at what's listed, but remember, what's listed does not mean what it's valued at. You need to look at the solds. Toggle over to the filters, scroll all the way down. You'll see something that says sold. Click on sold, toggle it over, and then those are actual comps that sold. You can keep it how it shows up, which is going to be most recent. So it'll show you everything that sold from that day going backwards, or you can toggle it to highest price to lowest price, which is what I recommend. Alyssa said, my sister would love that frozen look and find if you could send it. Oh, from the bin? I think I can do that. I can do that. So Cauldron said, do you market on other platforms to get more people to come to your shows? I don't. So, other than Instagram. But I don't market on Instagram. I only make stories, and I will occasionally tag Whatnot, but I don't have unorganic reach on Instagram. It is all people through who follow me. I very rarely get somebody who's just a random stray person who didn't follow me from Whatnot. They just happened to come across my like page or something because it is public. I do not market on Facebook any longer. I did when I first got started, and it was great. I actually had some of my best buyers ever came to my shows from Facebook. But if I'm being completely honest, it's doesn't even bother me to say this. I used to feel bad saying this, but I just don't anymore. There's a very special type of person who shops on Facebook in a way that they are also willing to download another platform to come and shop on. What I mean by that is there are people who look for trouble in the world. Like there are people who finding another platform that they can go on and like be chaotic and crazy and totally reckless to like how they're wasting your time and emotional resources is beyond me. I don't know what it is, but there's something about recruiting from Facebook. It is like the worst. I have had the best buyers, financial buyers, turn into some of the most problematic buyers I've ever had from Facebook. So I don't market on Facebook anymore. Can't do it. Julie over on YouTube said, Sean's surplus on Whatnot, any book $1 starts. He's disabled and trying to gain followers and stay busy to build a hobby family. I love that, Julie. Sean's surplus, all books $1 starts. If I see Sean live, I'll definitely have to rate into him for sure. Sean's surplus. Lorene said, would like to start my first show. Could I just use only my iPhone 10? Please let me know. I'd appreciate it. Of course. This is another thing that I have on my list. So great question, which is, what devices do I need? What do I need to use? What works? What doesn't work? You can use anything that has a camera, preferably a backwards facing camera. If you are doing a full front facing camera show where you're showing the items like this, you could just use a laptop. The video quality on laptops aren't usually as great. Like for instance, if you're on like the video quality from this to that is a wild, and that's not even a laptop, that's a phone, and it's terrible, and your laptop is worse than that. So my newer Android phone is great. The video quality is pretty solid. My older Android phone, it's like, and then if I was to be live on my laptop right now, it would be terrible. So unless you have the newest, latest, state-of-the-art laptop, it's probably best to stream from a phone, and an iPhone 10 is going to work just fine. So I use my phone. I'm an Android user, but I use my phone always for every show, and I use my laptop here just to stay in the chat when I'm doing stuff like this, where I know I'm going to be behind, and I want to see everyone's questions. So yeah, you just need a phone. It's a great question, Lorena. It's a common one, which is like, I want to get started, but I don't know, like, what do I use? It's like anything, as long as it has at least a front, like a forward facing or a really good quality self-facing camera, your phone is going to work great. And if you're somebody who doesn't like to, like this, like if I'm touching, say I'm touching my phone and then it's like shaking, you can use your phone to stream, use your computer, how I have it, you can see here how I have it all set up, and I can see myself and I can see the chat and I can run my auction from the computer. So you can definitely use two devices. You'll just stream from one and you can control your show with the other one. So great question, Lorraine. So yeah, no, Cauldron, I don't use other platforms to market to my shows at all. I just don't. I like the organic stuff. I don't know. I have a really bad taste in my mouth from the Facebook stuff. I have a buyer who I recruited from Facebook that still owes me like $75. She just ghosted everyone, and she owes other people money too. She was kind of a scammer. She wasn't really, but she might as well have been. She left a lot of people hanging. So yeah. Book Goblin says, where is the community tab? That's a great question. If you go to your homepage on Whatnot, you'll see at the bottom should be an option for categories or browse. It should either say categories or browse. If you click on that, it's going to be in one of two places. The way it is on some people's phones, like the reason why I'm saying this is today it changed. The morning it was in one place. This afternoon it was in a different place. On some people's phones, it may be right there in your list of things. It'll just say community. For most people, you need to click on the and whatnot category. So the category is and whatnot, and then you can just scroll through all the whatnot categories, which books is technically in the and whatnot category, and communities in there. So, yep. Linda, hello. Linda says, what is your suggestion to run a first show selling books? How many books available? Length of time? great question. I love this. I will eventually do a video about starting selling books from start to finish. Not auction, start to finish, but like starting very first time bookseller. I have a secondary selling account, and I will eventually, when I'm prepared for it, document myself actually setting up and prepping for my very first book show. So it'll be obviously not my very first book show, but I want to go into it as if I'm a new seller. I've never done this before. I kind of know because I watched this girl Resell Maven on YouTube and she gave me some great advice. I kind of have an idea, and I've watched other videos and I've watched shows, or maybe I've been on the platform for a while. So I have my idea, but I want to go into it kind of naive, like almost like I kind of know what I'm going to do, but I want to make it my own, not Amanda. So I'm actually going to make a video on that, but I would say length of time can be 20 minutes. It could be 20 hours. It really just depends on your personal preference. But I would say give it like 45 minutes to an hour. If in your first show, you're sitting there talking to yourself, people are popping in and popping out, but no one's really sticking around, give yourself a good 45 minutes at least. And then if you want to call it, log off. Reassess, figure out what you did right, what you did wrong, what you didn't like, make some tweaks and changes, schedule another show, which you should already have another show scheduled if you're already live. I always recommend that. And then do it again. Same deal. If it's 45 minutes or an hour, you feel like you're kind of talking to the wall, whatever, just keep doing it, because eventually, if you have good product, people are going to come in and start wanting to buy from you. And you're going to learn so much about like the whole thing, the whole process of selling live in a live auction format by just doing it multiple times, just like anything, right? We all didn't learn how to do cursive right away. Just like you don't know how to, we took math for our entire careers in school because there's lots of different things to learn about math, right? So give it a few different shows to work out the kinks. But I would say I think having a minimum of, for books, I would say a minimum of 20 to 50 items available. I think like one of the draws in my show, I think, is that people know, okay, and as a buyer, I feel this way. They know that they can come into my show and they're not going to probably find just one book they want. They're probably going to find 2 or 3 or 10 books that they really want, because I'm offering a pretty large variety. So for me as a buyer, I don't like going into people's shows and seeing everything they have listed and going, I think I would want like one book that they have. And I don't really want to like pay the shipping and stuff for just one book. I'd rather buy from somebody where I can get multiple items from them and make the shipping more worth it. So I think 20 to 50 minimum is a really safe place to be. 10 items is not going to cut it. It's not going to be enough unless they're 10 great books. If they're 10 popular, modern fiction, romance, historical fiction, smut, manga, like sci-fi, I don't know, something just really, really popular, then yeah, you could get away with 10. But I would say about that. And then, picking your selling style, Linda. So you said, what's the best suggestion for running the first show? So picking your selling style. Do you want to individually list everything? Do you want to take the 25, 30, 40 items you have, individually list them with pictures, price, weight, all of that, so everyone can see exactly what you have? They can do pre-bids. You can run individual auctions, however you want to do it. Or do you want to just show items one at a time? And so you don't have to spend all the time listing. So you would just be showing items one at a time. Whether you run auctions or bundle, it doesn't matter. You could definitely do it that way. So pick which way you want and then do your first show, because then you're going to be able to see, you're going to get 10 people. If you're on for an hour, you're going to get 10 people that pop into your show that ask you a question. That's 10 pieces of information you might be able to take away. That's amazing. That's awesome to be able to pop in and say, do you have this author? And you go, no, I don't, but noted. Somebody on this platform wants that author. Someone else pops in and goes, do you have Amish romances? And you go, no, but next time I see Amish romances, I'm going to look into them and maybe I'll pick some up. So you get to learn information too that way. So just because no one's in your show, don't think it's not an opportunity to gain information. Cauldron doing their second show tonight. Yay! So Cauldron had their first show last week and is already doing the second show on Sunday, 4:30. It's all horror. That's going to be good stuff. Horror is another really popular book category, guys. Simply Smarter says, handcrafted selling, working on graduation lace items. Thanks for the chat. You are so welcome. Oh, sorry. You have a question. I have lots of kids' books I need to sell, looking for advice. So same deal. That's a good, let me write this down. I love writing down like video ideas when they kind of come to me. You guys sometimes spark them, which is like all the things, this is my video title. You guys get to see it live in action. All the things to consider when doing / setting up your first show. That's a good one because what I said I think is pretty like standard and applicable across all categories and stuff. Look at the different ways the people in your category that you want to sell, like go into all the different shows at different times and say, okay, this person does it this way and this person does it this way. There's not really much but 2 different ways to really do it. You could do a blend. You could do polls, random polls, as well as having stuff listed. You could do a blend, and that works too. I actually have shows where I do that. My plus shows, I have all my stuff listed, and then I do random polls. So I do both on that. So figure it out. Which style do you want to do? And then do it, commit to it. So that means setting up your auction. Do you want to set it up with listings? Do you want to set it up with quantity listings by weight? Do it. Do either of those things. Put in some stuff in your buy it now. Maybe throw in a couple giveaways. Maybe a buyer's giveaway, maybe an everyone giveaway. And, get a little thumbnail, maybe a preview picture of what you're about to sell. Put it up there and go live and just jump head first. Do the thing they tell you not to do. Jump head first. Hi, everyone on YouTube. Timmy, what is up, Deborah? How are you? Deborah says, everyone listen to Amanda. She's awesome and great. Resource of knowledge. Thanks, Deborah. Deborah's my #1 fan. Julie says, I don't sell books, but so much of your information applies to all products. Absolutely, Julie. I agree. I think that when you start watching and consuming a lot of Whatnot content creators, you notice a lot of the stuff really does apply. So I can watch a Whatnot content creator about selling card breaks, which is so obscure and random outside of anything close to what I'd be selling. They have different types of shipping. They have all kinds of weird stuff, but they're going to say something that clicks and goes, oh my gosh, I've never thought of that. Or that's a brilliant idea, right? Or one thing I love to do, sorry, I need to take a hydration break. One thing I really like to do is popping into random shows, and I don't care what they're selling or who they are or anything. I'll almost turn the volume down sometimes. All I'm doing is looking in their store. I want to see what their auction setup looks like. I want to see what their buy it now looks like. I want to see what their giveaways look like, and I want to see what they've sold. I want to do a full-blown That's another video. Analyzing sellers' stores. Your store is where you're selling everything. Make sure your store is set up. Put stuff in your auction, put stuff in your buy it now, throw some giveaways in, make yourself a store, Pat says, do you advertise prior to the show for your stuffed animals? The only advertising I do is on Instagram. So I will take maybe a preview picture, like a little snapshot of everything I have once it's up on the shelf, and put it on my Instagram story and say, hey guys, don't forget, I'm having a show tonight, 4 p.m. Eastern time. And I'll put a link. You can link your show in Instagram. So you can take the link from your Whatnot, put it on your Instagram story. Someone can click your Instagram story link and it'll take them to your Whatnot show. So that's the closest to advertising that I do for any of my shows. Cauldron said, I felt like it might be weird to market on Facebook because you know how people can be. So that confirmed. Yeah. I don't love when people bring people to Whatnot from Facebook because they're just, I shop on Facebook and I sell on Facebook. So if you shop and sell on Facebook, don't take any offense to what I'm saying. It is just like, that's just the reality of it. It is a different type of buyer.
a lot of blend of very hip and like millennial style people like myself that understand roughly how things work. And then there's this whole entire older generation of people who just don't have a whole lot of like they don't understand things as quickly, and so you have to do a lot of training, and I don't mind it. I do training on YouTube. That's what I do. I don't want to train people how to buy. I think that's kind of a weird thing. So in my shows, I do a lot of confirmation, right? So like if I'm in a show right now, I would be like, hey guys, welcome in as I'm showing items. If you're joining us, welcome in. Definitely check out the show notes. I have everything listed on how the show works. Make sure you're clicking on my store. It's down here in the bottom right-hand corner. Let me know if you have any questions on how it works. I want you guys to know exactly how everything works. We're just going to keep going unless I see questions in the chat, right? I will say stuff like that all the time because I want people popping in to be educated. I want them to be educated buyers. But what's different is like when people come to the platform and treat it like Facebook Marketplace. So it's a lot of like, on Facebook when someone's like, is this available? And then you say yes, and then they never say anything. Or they go, can you drop this off at my house and take $20 off the total? Those types of people, that messaging, that mentality. Can you come take this that you said's for pickup at your house? Can you actually load it up into your car? Because I don't have a vehicle big enough to pick it up. And can you drive it 45 minutes down the road to my house? And also, will you take $50 less than what you have it listed at? That's a normal Facebook Marketplace conversation, just in case you haven't been there for a while. So, yeah, no, I'm sorry. I don't mean to be mean, but it's just honest. Like, it's just the reality. Like I said, that woman scammed me. She put a bad taste in my mouth. Linda said, what's your process to sell all the books? Do you end up donating books? I do donate some books. I throw away a lot of books. I never used to throw away books, but I actually just recently started because there's just books that are so damaged, there's nothing you can do about it. So I'd say I redonate every month. Maybe about 100 books. I say every month, but in reality, I save up my bundles and then I just donate it all once. I would say about every 2 to 3 months, I donate about 100 books. And that's books that just aren't going to sell for me. They had damage I didn't realize, but they are still readable. And then there's books that are so damaged that I wouldn't want anyone to purchase it, not seeing the damage that I didn't see when I purchased it, and then opening up the book and realizing, oh, one of the pages is ripped, or, someone drew devil horns on a picture on the inside, just things like that. So I do throw away some books, but they have to just be beyond repair. I upcycle a lot of books. I make upcycled bookmarks and sell those here on Whatnot, but I don't donate, but about between 50 to 100 every like 3 months, I would say. And that's just pure, like, it was a mix up. I shouldn't have picked that book up. It wasn't as desirable as I thought. Again, trial and error. You're still doing trial and error, even when you've been doing it for a while. My margin is a lot lower, but also think about my free book pickup. That I get a lot of donated books through that. So I get free book pickup, and out of my free book pickup, maybe half of them are books that I will actually sell. So I'm donating a lot of books that I got for free. So a lot of my donations it's not even stuff I purchased. So, but to sell everything, Linda, I would say, it's that just trial and error, knowing what sells, what doesn't, roughly off the top of your head from doing it for a while. I need to plug in my other phone. I know it's probably about to die. Let me plug it in. What are we at? Oh, 36%. Okay. So that's funny that my old crappy phone, I feel like, has better battery life than my newer phone. All right, let's plug that in. Come on. Hang on. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So yeah, my process is I take everything out of the bags once I get it from the Goodwill or wherever I picked it up from. I will sit on my floor and I make 2 or 3 different piles. I want my picture cookbooks, flat books in one stack,
chapter books in another stack, and then I usually separate my board books as well. So usually 3 different stacks, like flat books, chapter books, board books. And then I will do piles here underneath my desk. I have piles of books. I've got flat books and chapter books and board books all underneath here. And then when I go to do my show, I just pull everything from here next to me underneath the table. I'll pull out a good little mix and selection of the, picture, cookbook, educational type stuff. Good selection of chapter books for both adults and young adults and kids. And then I'll pull out some board books. And I just kind of make like a good little variety where I feel like there's a little something for everyone if you were to be buying in the show. So that's kind of how I do that. This camera's bothering me. There we go. All right, let me scroll up. Tammy said, is it faster? Is there a faster way? Sorry, I'm going cross-eyed. Is there a faster way to enter a lot of books into your inventory? No. Unfortunately, there is not a faster way to enter really anything. That's why a lot of people do those random pulls. I think that's why that's probably the most popular method. It's just listing. It's a lot faster than a lot of platforms. I think listing on Whatnot is one of the easiest platforms I've ever listed on, but it's not really. I mean, you can do the CSV, you can transfer stuff in if you have stuff listed elsewhere, but I don't recommend cross posting. I never have, never will. I don't recommend it. Sublime. Hey Maven, wanted to drop by and say thank you. Your YouTube walkthrough on selling on Whatnot helped me out tremendously. Thank you so much, Sublime. I'm so glad to hear that. Definitely loving those walkthrough, step-by-step tutorial, and what's the other one? I have 3 videos that are doing really, really well, that are just good evergreen videos for like Whatnot. Like if you're ready to start Whatnot, go watch some of those videos. Go to my YouTube channel and sort my videos by most viewed and watch the most viewed ones, because they are clearly the ones that are the best. All right. I'm gonna pin up another giveaway for you guys. All right, Carly says, I've done 8 shows in the last 3 weeks. Would like to start selling books. What is the easiest way to understand Whatnot shipping on books? Okay. Super easy. This is literally all you need to know. If you have an item listed as media, qualified media, books, CDs, DVDs, VHS, vinyl, that kind of stuff. If you have an item listed as a book and you are selling in the book category, you will automatically get media mail shipping. So as long as the item is listed as a book and you are in the book category or the corresponding media category that you're selling in, then you'll automatically default to media. You will sometimes have some labels that will default to Ground Advantage, and it's just because where they're located from you, it's actually cheaper to send it to them via Ground Advantage. So sometimes you'll still get Ground Advantage labels even in the book category, but most of them will default to media. There's no setting for it. So if you go to your settings for shipping, you'll never see something to toggle on media because it's specifically for those categories. So Whatnot will know it's a book in a book category. They will give the buyer media mail shipping, and it will be by weight. That is just how media mail works. I'm not sure if you've ever sold via media mail, but it's by weight. So it's going to be every single time the package total weight of your items increases by £1, it'll charge the buyer a little bit more. So the initial shipping, I believe, is like $4.87 or $4.67, something like that. And then once they get another pound's worth, where now their package is going to be closer to £2, like 1 to 2 pounds, it'll be like $5 and some change. 2 to 3 pounds is like 6 and some change. So it'll just add appropriate shipping based on how much they're buying. So for example, Let's say somebody bought something already. It doesn't matter what it weighed. They've already bought something. And now they want to buy something else. And let's say they want to buy this little Post-it notepad. Weighs nothing. It weighs like 1 ounce, right? It weighs nothing. So if they buy this and I have the shipping profile or the auction, whatever it is, set at 1 to 3 ounces, there's a very good chance they're probably not going to have any additional shipping costs. It's probably going to be $0 a shipping cost on that item because it's so light, it may not even bring them over another pound. But now let's say we go to sell, cup, and this is over a pound. When they go to purchase this, their shipping additional is probably going to be like $1.50, maybe even $2 or $3, because it's taking them over that next pound or two. So it's all dependent on the amount of weight. And every single time you get to a pound, it'll adjust. It'll add a little bit more shipping. Odyssey says, when shipping out books, are we allowed to put them in USPS priority flatmate box with media mail label? Absolutely not. 100% no way can you do that. So you can do it and put it into another poly bag and cheat the system. You could do that, but that is mail fraud. You're not supposed to do that. The priority mail packing supplies are only to be used with priority mail labels. So no, you cannot use the free packing supplies provided by the USPS via media mail. You do have to use your own shipping supplies. Hey, Steve. Steve says, awesome to see someone from the book category in here. I put things for sale on Facebook, and then when I'm asked if it's for sale, I instantly say no. Exactly. Fincher's Dante says, do you think it's important to have all age books available, or can you just do picture books or kids or chapters? Okay, this is a great question, and I have kind of probably not the best answer for it, for what you want to hear, but I just think it's the truth, and it's sad. It's a sad truth. I unfortunately feel like a lot of sellers who sell just kids books, I feel as though they have a hard time. I may be wrong. I don't watch every single show in any category, let alone book category. I watch some shows, but I really don't spend a lot of time watching shows on Whatnot. I'm just not, that's not my thing. To be honest, I do a lot of late night Whatnot watching where like I log into Whatnot to do something for my own show and my homepage draws me in. So maybe there's a seller who has like 600 people in their show and they're selling something crazy. And I just want to pop in and like see what they're selling or why they have so many people. But I don't do a lot of watching. However, I feel as though when I see people just trying to sell children's books, I feel as though they have a hard time gaining traction. And I'm not 100% sure why. But that is just my opinion. It seems as though I see people with not very many people in their show, and then sometimes I'll pop in because I want to see how it's going for them. And there's nothing is sold. They're kind of just talking to themselves, and I feel really bad because it feels just kind of like, oh, like, is kids books not viable? Like, I don't know. I'll test it out when I do my own show, when I do this new show thing I want to do by myself. Who just won that? Hello, Thrifty. Congrats. Hello, Thrifty. I'm going to send you out some bookmarks, stickers, something, some goodies. Thank you for hanging. So am I caught up in the chat? I'm actually caught up in the chat. That's exciting. So I think that having a variety is the best if you can. If you can do a variety and have all ages and genres, like I have cookbooks, I do have vintage books as well, but I have popular and I have kids, I have educational nonfiction, but I am a full-time book reseller. So I'm not the norm. I think I'm actually one of a few people on the Whatnot book category that sell books as a full-time source of income. So I have an office space. I have shelves and an organization system and a whole entire selling system based around selling books for all ages. There comes a lot of pitfalls with that, like a lot of pitfalls with that, which is shipping is a big one. It's a pain in the butt to ship. It's annoying when I get one big kids book and then like 4 chapter books, and it's like, how do I pack this? I've got to use a much larger box than what I need? Or can I kind of put them in a way that I can fit them into corrugated cardboard in a poly bag? Like, it's a guessing game of how you're going to get weird sized books to ship together. Whereas if you're selling all chapter books, it's all the perfect size, right? So, there's some downfalls to selling everything, but I've set it up in my business to be an everything bookseller. So, do I think you're probably going to have more traction if you have a better selection? Yeah, I think that's kind of just like a given. It would be like, going to a grocery store. You have two grocery stores you can go to, and one has most of the things you need, but the other one has everything you could need. Like this store has good price. It's like Aldi, right? Like you can go to Aldi and you can get most of the stuff you need from Aldi or Lidl, but they don't have everything. So like if you need a very specific item, you might need to go to Walmart to get it. So is Walmart ultimately going to be the preferred grocery store to you? Probably. If you had to vote, do you want the Aldi to close or do you want the Walmart to close? You're probably going to choose the Aldi to close because you can't get everything you need grocery-wise from that one store. So I look at it kind of that way. Like, yes, if you have more to offer, it's going to be better. But you can definitely thrive. I would say the caveat to that is the inverse of what I said about kids with chapter books. I think you can do better with adult chapter books on their own without any kids books than you can do with kids books without any adult books. So that's my caveat. Sure. Okay, so Lorraine says, can I do my first show not showing my face, just my items? Yes, you definitely can, Lorraine. 100%. I used to actually start all my shows like this, front facing, and I'd say hi to everyone, and we'd take like 5 or 10 minutes to have just like a little intro conversation, and then I would flip the camera around and spend pretty much the rest of the show with just my hands and the items. Now, I don't do an intro like this ever, like at all. Like you'll never see my face on Whatnot unless I am walking by the camera. So yes, 100% you can do that. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Lane. I appreciate you. I had my first reselling adventures, had to place, oh, sorry guys, y'all are falling. Oh. Sorry. Okay. Had to place ads in mags, sold how-to books, sold chicken eggs to my teachers. And oh, are you talking about all the different things that you did? Your businesses? I love that little hustler over here. So Julia says right here, kids books do not sell for me on Whatnot. Yes, I sell kids books on another platform, and when someone buys a bundle, oh my God, it's so much of a pain to ship with all these different sizes. Yeah. So I agree, Julia. I think that if you have a little blend of items, your kids books may get picked up better than if they were just by themselves. I very rarely, when I do bundles on my show, do I have just stacks with just kids books and just stacks with adult books. It does happen, but it's the outliers. The majority of my stacks have both kids, adult, young adult, toddler, has all of the age ranges in it most of the time. So yeah. But yeah, it's terrible when you have like all the different sizes. It's so annoying. This is like, it's my least favorite when it's like a big old book, like a big thick book, and like 3 or 4 smaller books that just don't fit in there the right way. It's terrible. Oscar says, make sure that was my last comment. Oscar says, how do you have buyers have free shipping after purchasing more than 2 items, for example, if that makes sense? So yeah, so that's kind of what I was talking about earlier, where like shipping is by weight. So for books, I'm just going to use books as the example because it's the easiest, but priority mail is the same way, except books go for every pound, the price increases. Priority goes for every 4 ounces, the price increases. So if I sell an item to somebody and maybe, sorry, the pollen, my nose is stuffy. I'm okay. I'm going to give you guys an example. Perfect example here. I picked up like every I Survived book today, by the way, guys. Alrighty. Nobody get tempted with these books I'm showing now, okay? Alrighty. First book someone buys is this one. Big, thick boy. This big, cool cookbook. This book probably weighs about 2.5 pounds. So big cookbook, right? Let's just say this cookbook weighs 2.2 pounds. hypothetically. How can I make this make sense? Let's say this book weighs 2.5 pounds. It doesn't matter. I auction it, and I auction it for a single item at 2 to 3 pounds. Okay. So this buyer pays for shipping 2 to 3 pounds. They're going to get this book. Then the next book that they see that they want is this book, this little thin baby I Survived book. It weighs like nothing. It's like super, super light. When I go to run this book, they've already paid their intro shipping and they've paid it for 2 to 3 pounds. I'm running this book as like a 3-ounce book. Like it's super light, 1 to 3 ounces. When they go to buy this book, their shipping is now going to be going over that 3-pound threshold, but it's only by 3 ounces. So Whatnot is going to say, okay, they just bought this book. We're going to charge them 25 cents. They're going to get this book. And they technically only have 3 ounces of a whole pound accounted for. So now I go to run this one. And they go, I really want this book too. And they win this book. Well, when they go to win this book, they're going to see their shipping. It's going to say free because this is also 1 to 3 ounces. So now they've at the most added 6 ounces to their stack. Well, here comes another one, another light book. So if they go to buy this one, it's also going to be free shipping because now they're only up to 9 ounces. Does that make sense? All right, plot twist. They buy the 2. They're up to 6 free. They've got both of these. This one they paid 25 cents for. This one was free. This one was free. Now they have 9 ounces, right? So this is all 9 ounces. Well, I decide I want to run this book. Well, this is closer to like 7 or 8 ounces. So when I go to run this book, it's going to be 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, only 6 more ounces until they hit a pound. So if I run this at 4 to 7 ounces, Whatnot's going to go, oh, 7 ounces. That took them over the next pound. Does that make sense? I like to use visuals because I don't think when I say it, it necessarily makes sense. It is all by weight. So it is Whatnot determining how much weight do they have in their package. So once you hit every pound, it'll go up on priority every 4 ounces. So if you buy an item that is small and light and weighs under 4 ounces, you'll pay your little whatever. But then the next item, if it's 12 or 15 ounces, it might cost you a little bit more than the little 4-ounce item did because it's heavier. Hopefully that makes sense. So that's how the free shipping shows up, by the way. The only other example for free shipping is when people have flat rate shipping on, when they say, hey, max shipping. That's another way you'll see free. So some people do max shipping. It's like $9 and some change. And that's the most you'll pay in shipping. You could buy 100 items and that's the most you'll pay. And then the seller assumes the rest of the responsibility. Hella said, what do you do with the books that you come across that are worth quite a bit of money? The Bay. They go on this shelf right back here. This is my eBay shelf. Oh, you guys can't see it. Sorry. Oh, gosh. See the shelf back there by the door? This whole shelf back here? That's my eBay shelf. Sorry, I forgot. Get your cameras going. So, yep, they just go over to that shelf and then I comp them, confirm they look good, put them on the shelf, and then I'll list them. So, yep. That's what I do with them. I just list them. Whatever marketplace is a better place to sell it. Resell said, is it better to sell modern books or vintage, or does it depend? Both sell really well. Popular modern is different than modern. I will say that. If you ever want to know what I mean when I say popular modern, I highly, highly, highly recommend going to Target. Go to Target, go to the book section, walk in the adult book section and the kids book section. When I say modern, that's what I'm talking about. Those types of books. Okay. Just very specific looking types of books, just higher value, higher desire, popular books. And then vintage sells really, really well as well. There's a huge vintage market. In fact, I wish I could find more vintage books than I do so I could sell them, but I just don't come across that much vintage, unfortunately. So I I can only sell, as much as I come across. But yeah, both sell really well. I would say in a lot of ways, vintage can sell better than popular because it's so rare. Popular book you can get on here for a really good deal for $8 or $9 when in the store it's 16, and that's a great deal. But you could pay $30 for a vintage book because you can't get it in the store. So the scarcity of it matters too. Yeah, thanks, Oscar. Sorry, I know that was like a roundabout way to describe it, but I like to use visuals so you can see what I mean when I say like a 3-ounce book or a 2-pound book. I mean, they're very different things when you look at them. So yeah, glad that makes sense. Thank you. Kristen said, how does payout work? I'm a new seller and I know you do have. I got you. So payout works 2 different ways. One, when you are a new seller and you haven't made any sales and you don't have any sales history, you're going to get paid when the item gets delivered. And I think it usually takes like 24 to 48 hours after the item gets delivered for it to officially appear in your account. They have a really good tracking system in your seller dashboard. You can go over to your, what's it called? To your financials tab, and you can actually view everything. You can view your ledger, your payouts, statements. You can view everything, and it'll show you exactly, when you got paid, did it process. A lot of times it's good to see if, confirming items got delivered, because if an item gets delayed or doesn't get delivered, that can affect your payout. So keeping an eye on that. And then after you've made some sales, once you make 1,000 sales, 1,000 separate sales, not including giveaways, but just 1,000 items sold, you'll get what's called instant payout, which means that once you package the item and ship it and you print out your label, Whatnot will automatically generate your payout. And so the way you get your payout when you're done, when you're ready to cash out after you did your first show and everything got delivered and you got your note, you see in your ledger that everything's delivered, you'll see in your profile there's an option for payouts. And so you can click on that. I use it on my phone. I just go to my profile on my phone and it says payouts. You click payouts and it'll show you your balance. And at any given time, you can also use that to see what your pending balance is. So if you haven't shipped the items or they're still waiting to be delivered, you'll see your pending balance. And then once the items are delivered, you'll see everything that's available for withdrawal. And then you click withdraw. You can use your PayPal. You can use, I'm so late. That's so weird. It's like delayed. You can use PayPal. I think you can use direct deposit. I don't know. Stripe. I think Stripe is what uses direct deposit, but I use PayPal. And so it just deposits to my PayPal, and then I just do the 1 to 3 business days on PayPal, so I don't have any additional fees. So yeah. Pandora, congrats on unlocking bronze tier. And Resale Bloom, thank you so much for the tip. I appreciate you. Sorry, behind in the chat a little bit. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Yeah, put them on eBay. Yep, I do. Christina said, I meant to say that I know you don't get it right away, but it says it's processing. Yeah. So, exactly. So what I was just saying, so yeah, the processing means either, if you're not in instant payout, it just means that the item hasn't been officially delivered and is still pending going into your account. And then the available for withdrawal will be everything that's been delivered and is available for withdrawal. So you might have still, $50 or $60 that are pending, but you have $100 available that you can pull out, and you can withdraw that as many times a day as you want. There's no limit or anything like that. And it'll just go to your PayPal. And I just wait usually until I have a good balance in my PayPal, and then I just transfer it 1 to 3 business days. Just keep in mind that if you do transfer it after 7 p.m. or on Fridays after 5 p.m. or 7-ish usually, but 5 I feel like is really, really, sometimes I've transferred things on Friday at 6 p.m. or so. It's before 7 and it doesn't transfer until Tuesday. So just keep that in mind over the weekends and after 7 p.m. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer to transfer over. Bellringer says, where do you source your books? Primarily the Goodwill. Like 99% is Goodwill. I do a little bit at the Disabled American Veterans and the Salvation Army, but majority of it is Goodwill. Yep. I do the Goodwill outlets, like the bins. Yep. As a seller, how do you establish a reward system? Good question. So I was actually had this listed as one of my topics, which was like talking a little bit about coupons versus the reward system and how I don't see a lot of sellers using coupons anymore because the reward system is so great. I feel like most sellers utilize the reward system. So The reward system resets every 3 months. And if you go to your seller hub, you'll see like an option where it says rewards club. And if you go in there, you will see, even if you don't have it set up currently, you should be able to see the seasons. So if you click on season somewhere, it says season, it'll tell you when the seasons run. So for example, we're in season 3. This is the 3rd season they've done the rewards club, and it runs from March 3rd until June 2nd. So that means that you won't be able to set up rewards club as a seller until about June 1st-ish. They usually open it up like a couple days before the season starts. So season 4 begins on June 2nd, and usually it's around like midday at like noon. So you should have, like, at the end of May to the beginning of June, get an email that says, hey, the new season's about to start. You should set up your rewards club. And if you don't get the email, just set a reminder on your phone that like around June you need to look into it. And then when it's around that time and it's open, when you come to this rewards club screen, it will actually pop up all the things that you need to do to set it up. I have an entire video on that, so definitely make sure you're watching that. It's on my YouTube, Resell Maven. I think it's called like how to set up your rewards club. I'll tell you what it's called. My throat's hurting. Yeah, we had a big pollen dump last week, so my throat is just trash right now. It's like just super sore. That video is called How to Set Up Your Whatnot Rewards Complete Tutorial. So if you go to YouTube and just type in how to set up your Whatnot Rewards Club, I'm probably going to be one of the only few videos that actually even pops up. So you can see it right on there. And I do a complete walkthrough on it, and it's super, super, it's super detailed. Like, I go through the whole thing. Like, the video is long. How long is it? Oh no, that one's only 16 minutes. I must just do it really quick, but I go into detail on it. But yeah, so then once it's that time, just go to the rewards club and you'll be able to see how to set it up. What's really, really cool is if you're actually a seller, like you've already sold, you'll actually be able to see some unique analytics that you've never seen before. So when you go to set up your rewards club, there'll be a separate analytics tab in the rewards club tab, and it'll show you how much are people buying in your shows, how many repeat purchases are people making, who's your top buyer. Like, it shows you all kinds of really cool stuff. And so when you make your rewards club, you'll make it based on those analytics. So say you're a relatively new or smaller seller and you don't have a huge following of people, you might want to set your rewards tiers a little bit more attainable, right? You might want to set your shipping, your selling, your spend, the amount of money that they have to spend, a little lower. Excuse me, I'm so burpy today. I apologize. I'm not normally like this. I'm drinking my normal soda. I'm just going to get more burpee for you. I think if you have a lower normal amount of sales, you can do lower, more attainable tiers. And then if you're a larger seller who sells people, you have people who spend hundreds of dollars in your shows, you're going to want to make your rewards tiers a little harder to get. You don't want to make it so everyone can just always get them. So you'll be able to see special analytics for that too. So it's really, really cool. Do you sell? Do you or should you track everything you purchase as slow? You should definitely track everything you purchase, just at least by the cost of your goods for taxes first and foremost, but particularly so that you kind of know roughly how much a book generally costs you or an item costs you. Especially for me, because I source at the Goodwill outlet primarily, my books are a set price. So I know my average cost of goods. Whereas if you source yard sales or estate sales, or you do thrift, but you thrift various items with different types of pricing that aren't set, yeah, you're going to want to keep track of that. Because what I think is a great method, I watched somebody actually do it recently, which was like taking in a select amount of items that they sourced and then selling them right away, and knowing, okay, I spent X amount of dollars on all the stuff I sold, and then I sold it for X. I sold everything in the show was all this stuff for X amount of dollars. You can see your profit right then and there. And it's great because you know how much the cost of goods are for all the items that you're selling in that show are. So, sorry, I'm a little stuffy. I'm going to call it soon. I think I'm going to pin up this last giveaway. and we'll probably call in the next 5 or 10 minutes. But yeah, you want to at least keep track of your cost of goods, like for taxes, let alone anything else, for sure. For sure, for sure. I was mentioning this earlier that I had tried to start keeping track of how much I made in every single show down to like the profit. And it's like for me, because I'm if you're selling individual items and whatnot says, hey, you sold 50 items tonight and you know that they were all individual items, you can look at that analytic right on your dashboard. But for me, if I sold 50 items and it said you sold 50 items, but in reality, I sold bundles of books, and each of those bundles could have had anywhere from 2 or 3 books to 20 or 30 books, it's really hard for me to have a hard number. So I have to actually count. And I just gave up on that a long time ago. I tried to do it this month and I just said, nope, I've done this before and I don't like it. I'm not going to do it. Lucy said, how many giveaways should be done for each show? It just depends on how much you probably plan on selling. For larger shows where I know I'm going to make a good bit of profit and I'm going to be selling a lot and I'm going to be doing a lot of like I'm using giveaways as a reward. So, which giveaways are a reward, but like I'm really trying to reward my buyers and encourage them to purchase. I'm probably going to put a lot more giveaways in my show. Whereas if I'm not really expecting to pull in a ton of money and it's just kind of a standard show, I might pick a certain amount of giveaways that I do in my shows always. So, which is what I used to do. We had a big influx of buyers on Whatnot in the last couple months. I would say like the last 4 or 5 months, it's been absolutely wild. Like just a crazy amount of new buyers, which has been amazing. Before that, I used to do, what did I do? I think I did 3 or 4 buyers giveaways in my Tuesday night shows because they were smaller. And then in my Saturday night shows, I would do like 6 or 8 buyers giveaways because we didn't have that many people at the end of the show. And like doing like 8 buyers giveaways was pretty normal and gave like most people a chance to win. But now in my Tuesday shows, I can sometimes sell a little bit. I can sometimes sell a lot. So I typically put like 6 or 7 buyers giveaways in those shows. And in my Saturday shows, I'm putting 20 buyer giveaways in my shows. And then both of those shows, I only put a handful of regular giveaways because I don't run a lot of regular giveaways today. I ran 5 because I'm in the community tab and I wanted to give back to you guys. I've never really done a show in this category. And I'm streaming live on YouTube, hence I'm making a YouTube video basically over here. So I wanted to just like keep it fun and light. So I did some giveaways just to make it fun for everyone. And I appreciate you guys being in the chat and giving me questions so that I can answer them and also share it to people on YouTube who don't have Whatnot or really know about the Whatnot category, the community, like they would never know. So this is a great way for them to get some really good questions answered that they might have. So it's a win-win. So that's why I did some giveaways today for y'all. So it's really about how much you want to reward your buyers in any given show. I think 1 or 2 giveaways that are for everybody should be in everyone's show. I think you should always have at least 1 minimum, because if you get rated, it's really good common like etiquette to pin up a giveaway for everyone to enter as a thank you for the raid and as a benefit for you to encourage people to stay in your show by entering the giveaway and maybe buying something while they're waiting that 5 minutes for the giveaway to run. So, what do you sell? I don't sell really at all on Facebook anymore because I just got super duper over it. But book lots and home items. So when I'm trying to when I'm trying to sell things in my house or like my kids' toys, like for Christmas or at Christmas time, we did a huge clear out for their room. And so I listed everything on Facebook with individual pricing and sold it that way. If I'm selling furniture or something like that, but it's mostly kids items. Yeah, mostly kids items or home items, but I really sell like hardly at all on Facebook. I'll make like a listing once or twice a year. It's just random. Because I just got really tired of it. It's really exhausting. Like, do you have this? Do you have that? It's like, is this available? Yeah, the joke I said earlier, can you drop this off at my house and take $10 off the price? And then Hella30 said, do you recommend doing giveaways when you first start selling? Again, have at least one giveaway for everybody in there. You can either run it at the start of your show as like a nice thing to do. Bell ringer, congrats. I'll send you some stickers, bookmarks, and whatever else I can find. I'll send you a little giveaway. Thank you so much for hanging. So always have at least one if you get rated, or if you want to start your show with a giveaway as just like a, hey, enter the giveaway. And kind of, I like to tell people, if you win the giveaway, you get discounted shipping, because you as the seller have now paid for the introductory shipping. So for example, you guys want to know a number? I did 5 giveaways in this show. Let me tell you how much shipping I spent on those 5 giveaways. $22. So it was about $4.50 ish for each giveaway. So it adds up. So I did 5 giveaways, spent $20. Well, are you making $20 in sales in your show? You don't want to out, give away yourself. You don't want to make the charges too much. So I think having at least one, and then doing buyers giveaways. Always have buyers giveaways in your show. 2 to 3, maybe 4 in your first few shows is a great place to start. As you start to grow, maybe you do a few more. As your shows get bigger, you can add a few more. Buyers giveaways are going to be a lot less in shipping. So say I had done those same 5 giveaways, but they were buyers giveaways, which means somebody had purchased in my show and they won the buyers giveaway. My shipping would probably be like $2 for all 5. Because I'm paying like 25 or 50 cents for each giveaway. It's not a lot. Sometimes it's free. Again, it depends on how much weight they have in their package. How do you put stickers for Givey to not spend so much in shipping? I think you're probably talking about like the plain white envelope system. I'm actually in the process of looking into that because I know a few people who use the plain white envelope system. From what I understand, you're not able to use it in media mail. So I need to look into that and figure it out. As of right now, I don't have an answer for that one, but there are people who do. I think it's like 59 cents in shipping or something like that if you use the plain white envelope. I just don't know how it works. I actually am in the process of trying to figure that out. So, but for me, when I do stickers, I just list everything in my giveaways as books, because Whatnot will auto default it if it's not. Like if I put stickers in the title, Whatnot usually knows it's not a book and it just auto changes. I just list everything as books in my category because that's usually what I'm selling. Hella says, that's my life right now as a reseller selling on Facebook and Offra. That's why I really want to start selling on Whatnot. Yeah. Come to Whatnot, Thrifty. I'm telling you, it's not the same. There are some people that are like a little new and they just don't know, and they might ask you mildly irritating questions, but for the most part, it's really simple and it's really easy to be kind on here because you're live. So like on Facebook, when someone asks you a really annoying question, your first instinct is to like roll your eyes and be annoyed, and then not angrily type out a message because you want to be polite and have customer service. But it's frustrating, right? When they ask you kind of a dumb question, if it's like, oh, what color is it? And it says in the title, bright blue mirror, like it says exactly what it is. And they're asking you such a stupid question. But on Whatnot, it's like easier because you're live. So you can just be like, oh, it's blue. Like you just respond because it's like, maybe they just didn't see it. So it's a lot easier. Your patience is a little bit better. There are times and you just need to pause, take a breath, woo-saw it out, and then proceed. But yeah, it's not as bad as Facebook at all. Yeah, Christina says, I also tell people that I clean all my clothes unless it's new. Yep, absolutely. I think that just being straightforward and transparent and honest about what you're selling and the condition it's in and how you process your stuff. And do you have pets in your home? Do you smoke in your home? I mean, there are definitely sellers on Whatnot who probably have all kinds of conditions in their home that most resellers don't. And so they need to be honest and transparent about it. But yeah, I always tell people, like, especially with my stuffed animals, I say, hey, you know, I sell out of my office. There's no pets or kids or smoking here. It's a neutral office space, you know, but my items are pre-loved. So they may have mild, you know, odors from the past owner. I don't wash my plush. So, but I do spot clean them, and I only pick up plush that's in good condition. I'm never going to pick up something that needs to be heavily washed or treated. So, you know, everything's going to be in good pre-loved condition. And that usually works pretty well. So, yeah. All right, guys, my voice is killing me. I think I'm going to go ahead and call it. We've ran all of our giveaways. You guys killed it with the questions. I really, really appreciate it. For all of my people on Whatnot over here, if you are new to seeing my face, again, my name's Amanda. I go live every Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday on Whatnot. Make sure you're following me. I do sell books, toys, stuffed animals, plushies, as well as sometimes odd and end stuff, especially around the holiday season. I like to do a lot of like specialty shows for holiday gifting type items. I'm really big on giftable type items around the holidays. So definitely make sure you're following me. And then for those of you guys on YouTube, thanks as always for watching. I super appreciate you guys being here. Hopefully all the Whatnot people brought you guys some great questions and answered some of those very commonly asked questions that people just need a little help with. And I know it seems so daunting to get started, but I promise you guys it's so much easier than you think. You just got to get past the initial kind of awkwardness of maybe not having a lot of people in your room or not really knowing what to say or do, and just kind of find your rhythm, and you'll definitely find your people. Another just great takeaway tip is being in the community tab is a great place to start your footing. Popping into those community shows, helping answering questions as you know the answers to them, encouraging people when they're feeling scared or fearful with your positivity is always really helpful. Just being engaging, especially in the community tab, is a really good way to start building your following so that when you go live, you already have people who kind of recognize your name. Oh, that's so-and-so. They're always in so-and-so's chat channel. Or, oh, I always see them in the shows. And, you know, being in the category that you're going to sell in. If you're going to go sell in, you know, books, go be in book shows, and don't be intrusive and ask people, you know, can I self promote? I have a book show coming up. Don't do all that, but just casual. Oh, I love that book, or great choice, or oh, what, you know, good grab. That was a great book, you know, whatever it is. Like, make your little commentary so people start recognizing who you are. And then when you go live, your name may be more recognizable. There's people all the time that come and casually are in my shows, whether they're buyers or they're just chatting. They never buy anything from me. I'll go to end of my show and I'll see that they're on, and who am I going to raid? I'm going to raid that person. I'm going to raid the person that was hanging out and being casual and fun and cool. Let's go see what they've got going on. So it's just a great way to build that community organically too. So, you've never seen this face before in your life. I know. Old school. I used to start everything front facing, and now I'm never on camera ever. So, all right, guys. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and end over here on YouTube, and then I'll end over here on Whatnot. Let's see. I don't even know how to do this anymore. Yes, I want to stop streaming.